And we got next weekend coming up, right? A lot going on. We got the big fight between Leo Santa Cruz and Gervonta Tank Davis. I am, like a lot of you, I'm fucking jacked up about this fight. I'll tell you what. When they signed this, I was like, whew, this is a real fucking matchup right here. This is what I'm talking about. Santa Cruz, he's 37-1-1, 19 knockouts. You know, he's got relentless pressure. He throws so many punches. He's long. He's tall. He can box if he needs to and get behind his jab. Leo's a handful, man. Leo is a handful. You know, I was looking at their resumes, and as far as fighting the absolute elite of the sport, you know, Leo's had his 2 fights with Abner Mares, 2 fights with Carl Frampton, both at featherweight. Won both fights with Mares, very close fights. Lost, split 2 fights with Frampton, lost the first one, the rematch. And, you know, aside from those guys, and those were very tough, close fights, Leo's basically blown through anybody I've ever watched. I'm talking, these opponents are the elite opponents. He's fought other guys that are terrific fighters, but anybody that's not those 2 guys, Leo just walks through them, man. His pace is too much. He throws too many punches. He's too long. He does not get hurt. His chin is like iron. And it's going to get tested in this one, for sure. There's no doubt about that. Tank, you know, Tank is 23-0, 22 knockouts. Everybody knows what Tank brings, man. Tank brings speed, power, explosiveness, you know, Golovkin-type power. It's jarring, and that's part of why he gets so many early knockouts, you know, and he's got the speed and the boxing IQ to go with it. And I think the kind of punching power he has, it's not that just he's a strong puncher. It's that special, like Kovalev, Tyson, Golovkin, that kind of power. It's really concussive, put you out with one-shot power. And he's shown it against, you know, essentially every opponent. I did the same sort of thing with him where I looked at on his resume, you know, who's a guy that's at the elite level. You know, and the 2 for me was one that I was actually at, was his fight with Jose Pedraza, who you've heard me talk about on this show, who is now a contender at 140 pounds. This fight's taking place at 130 pounds. So that win over Pedraza in 2017, to me, looks better and better every day, because Pedraza's had, you know, success at these higher weights, and has fought well against top-level guys. So to me, that's a top-level win. The other top-level win is his last fight against Yuriorkis Gamboa. You know, there were things about that fight that were really impressive. He put Gamboa on his ass 2-3 times early in the fight. Overall, dominated the fight, won all but maybe 1 or 2 rounds. You know, but to me, what was interesting was, and this was partly Gamboa, but Gamboa, even though he got dropped twice early in the fight, even though he tore his Achilles early in the fight, we found out after, down the stretch of the fight, where Tank hasn't spent a lot of time, he hasn't spent a lot of time in the back end of the fight, Gamboa started landing some punches. There was rounds where Gamboa pushed Tank back and hit him on the ropes. And Gamboa is not known as the kind of pressure volume fighter that Leo is, which I could foresee being difficult for Tank if he, you know, at some point in the middle back end of the fight starts to get a little tired. Leo's not getting tired. I can tell you Leo's not getting tired. So that was just something I noticed, was that despite, you know, really dominating him, at the end, towards the end of the fight, Gamboa was able to find success because Tank's work rate just went down so much. And you have to wonder how making the weight and all that is going to play into his stamina, how his body's feeling. But, and look, if you've been watching this channel, you know I've gotten the last couple predictions wrong, so I would take this all with a grain of salt. But the way I personally see this fight playing out is, I think that early in the fight, you know, maybe not early in the fight, but the first 7 or 8 rounds, I think that overall Tank's speed and power and athleticism and foot movement is going to be a little much for Leo. And he's a lot bigger than anyone Leo's ever fought. He hits a lot harder. So I think that Leo's going to be a little smarter. And Tank may be able to clip him and hurt him, maybe even keep his hands in his pocket a little bit, and maybe stop him in that first 7 to 8 rounds. But if he does not stop Leo and he gets at all tired, I think that Leo will, the last 4 or 5 rounds, will be able to make something happen and make the fight close. So, and I think that's ultimately what will happen. I think that Leo is a special fighter as well, in a different kind of way, just in a work rate, heart kind of way, and conditioning and all of the things. You know, he's an elite level guy. So I do see Leo in the back end of the fight making something happen and really pressing Gervonta along the ropes and landing combinations, and Gervonta winning probably winning a close decision over Leo. But I think that both of their stock goes up from this fight. I think that Leo is going to be able to put himself in a position to say, look what I did against, you know, a top pound for pound guy, you know, be it at 126, 130, or 135, you know, they'll both be considered two of the best in that weight neighborhood after this fight. And I think it's going to be a great fight. And, you know, Regis Prograis on the undercard. There's a couple other good fights on the undercard, but this one's worth watching because I think that both of these guys are some of the best young fighters of their era. So